Now, of course, when animating, you always hunch over your back, and that's not good for you. So you always gotta have a good posture. But sometimes, like, you're in the zone and you kind of forget about that. So it's good to always get up from your chair and start stretching, like so. Now, for my space assignments, I first planned that I was gonna focus on a character that was a slob and his room was very filthy and dirty, and he was just like a fat guy, and it would end with him getting eaten by, being consumed by his own slob, like getting eaten by like a rotten pizza that turns into a monster. And I showed it to my teacher, and she said I need to dive more deep into the concept of the word sight. So I scratched that whole idea and decided to focus on the theme about how people take advantage and ruin Mother Nature. So I had to change the character design that would best suit for this theme. The idea for the animation was going to be a mix of 2D and live action. The background was going to be my room, so I was going to take pictures of it, and I had props to make my room look filthy, and the characters were just going to be 2D, 2D animated. So I decided to change the setting. It was going to have the same plot structure, but the setting was going to be different. Rather than being set in his house, it would be set in a Amazon rainforest, and it would be the slob, making a mess of the forest. It would be about how humans pollute the forest, and it would end up with the character getting eaten by a dog found in specifically a type of dog found in the Amazon rainforest. But that idea got scrapped too because, I don't know, judging by the due date and how busy I am, I had to scrap the whole idea and shorten it out to the point where it's suitable for me to finish it on time and give out as much information as needed. Now, I still had the idea of mixing live action with 2D animation. I decided to take more inspiration from the amazing world of Gumball since it has that similar concept. Not many people gave the show credit for experimenting with different unique art styles. And it was very interesting for me to incorporate that into my assignment. Okay, so I'm working on Adobe Animate, and I wanted to try out animating a character just in motion tweens. And I tried animating this walk cycle in just motion tweens and playing it. It doesn't look quite as right. Like right here, it's much smoother for some reason. But when you play it in the preview, yeah, it doesn't look right. Are you guys noticing this? Because I am. With motion tweens, the AI animates it for you and predicts where the movement is going. And that's pretty helpful. It makes the animation, it saves time in animation. But it doesn't always work quite right the way you want it, so you may have to do some refining here and there. You might want to, depending on what you want the animation to do, you have to go in here to figure out what movement you want it to do, like back, bounce, that stuff. That's what I learned from it. It's pretty cool, actually. It saved me a bunch of time. I'm not gonna struggle rearranging and fixing the timeline for this terrible animation, so this has to go. That was painful to do. Okay, so here's the animation I have for scene 4. Yeah, it's a lot better. There's supposed to be fire here. I haven't added that yet. And it was gonna be a really funny joke. I really loved Gumball as a kid, you know? I watched a lot of Gumball episodes. It's pretty cool. I think it holds up today. It's pretty funny. And I really learned a lot doing this project. I really learned a lot from making this project in Adobe Animate. It's taught me a lot about symbols, motion, like classic and motion tweening, and animating on 2s. It really taught me a lot, you know? I'm really glad I did this. Look how shit this is in the preview. This is awful. You can't preview this properly without like rendering it first. Look how slow this shit is. It's awful. I'm previewing this and it's like this. It's not like this when you render it, for some reason. Yeah, so that's what it says if you can catch that. I think it looks awkward when the smoke coming out of the cigarette is moving faster than a human. Is that weird? Okay, so since I've never smoked, and most likely will never smoke, I had to look up references on how smoking works. Which is important because it's the lighting. I have to know how the physics and that shit works. By the way, while I work, I prefer listening to some background sounds, such as watching a show like The Avatar: The Last Airbender. Great show. This character right here has 6 different riggings alone. And it's really cool because it helps save time when animating, and it especially helps keep the character consistent when moving it frame by frame. It's great when animating in Adobe Animate because when you convert something into a symbol, you can animate just the object alone, and it would loop those same frames all over again. So if you animate these amount of frames in a symbol alone, it would loop it over and over. And that's pretty cool. The movements here are either animated on 3s or on 2s, but mostly 2s. But for this walk cycle, it's mostly animated on 3s because it used to be animated on 2s, but then it looked like he was walking too fast, like he's Mr. Frog from the Smiling Friends. So I had to animate it on 3s, and that made it it made the movement much better. Like he's now walking like a normal human being. So I had to get some images from the Amazing World of Gumball to get the art style right. So as you can see here, there's like a bunch of trees mixed with real life trees. It's pretty neat. It's very, very neat. And we also have that's how many references I got. Just the basic ones I need. Like this one. I wasn't so sure if the show actually just replaced the realistic clouds with cartoon clouds, or mixed it with the cartoon clouds, or just had live action clouds. Yeah, I wasn't so sure, but I found this and I was like, that's interesting. Might as well use that. And if you if you deny that, then shut the hell up. It's my goddamn project. I even downloaded this image of the Amazon rainforest and scrapped it because I realized it would not work for the background, so I got a new image. So this was gonna be the background of the rainforest, and this got scrapped because it looks like shit when you zoom in, that's why. Also, I just found out these sick bastards put a watermark on it, so that's great. So I found a suitable background for my animation, but the problem is that there's this person here, so I had to erase him from existence as God intended. So I took the bird's art style from the show, The Amazing World of Gumball, an inspiration for my animation, and decided to use that bird for my animation. So I had to trace over its design to get it more accurate. But don't worry, I drew the bird a new head and wing, so I can have the bird to look at a different direction and also peck its feathers. Art styles are completely different because that's how Gumball did it a lot. Yeah. Not much to that. I mean, it looks interesting, and it especially fits for the bird style because it's like a tropical bird, so it fits really well, and it's a juxtaposition from my character design, you know? Really helps. Now, it may look like my animation is done, but it's not completely done. You see, I could leave this as it is and move on into the editing process and rendering it and composing it. But there's one more detail I need to add for when the fire rises. The bird here has to scream because it gives the indication that this kind of situation will hurt the animals, and this bird will feel like incredible amount of pain from this. And yeah, it helps with the theme I'm going with and helps the story. So I can't just leave it as this, you know? I keep hearing this saying, they didn't have to do that, but they did it anyway. But to me, it's more like, they have to do this to make it more perfect, you know? They have to do this because it works well. That's how I think of it, you know? Just think of it like that. If it makes it better, do it. Without it, it's just gonna look flat and boring. If I just leave it like this, it's not gonna work well. Subtle details like this are very important. That's what I always say, you know? I use QuickTime to make my own audio. To achieve the glow and the shading I added to the animation, I used After Effects and added like a solid layer and feathered it so it would attain that glow effect. Here's a solid layer. I increased the feather, and it's got that round, soft brush look feel. It's got that glowy feel. I also use masking to help overlay the animation, so it'll look like the animated characters are interacting with the background more instead of overlapping. Yeah, masking helps me a lot. Finally, after days and hours, it's finally finished. Now I can hand this in, and that's it. I mean, today is Sunday, and it was due this morning, so I hope the teacher can forgive me for a late submission because I had to make it perfecto. I had to make it good. It had to be perfect.